Don't talk yet, just let it sit. The house, the grounds. You've seen this before, and maybe not just in a movie, somewhere older. When most people watched Get Out, they thought, this is a horror movie about racism. I don't know how many people saw the house and thought, that's a plantation. Jordan Peele took a horror film, not set on a plantation, and rebuilt the plantation in modern day. I'm gonna prove it, and we're gonna see it together, room by room. The thing that Chris uses to get out isn't even a weapon, it's cotton. And Jordan Peele puts it in a chair in a basement in 2017, the same material that made the antebellum plantation commercially viable, the crop that justified the entire system, and they turn it into an instrument of escape. By the end of this video, you're gonna have to answer one question, and the answer may not make you comfortable. But before we get to that question, I wanted you to watch for something. Watch for every moment in Get Out where Chris thanks the Armitage. Count them. Comment the number below. Because every single one of those moments is doing something specific, and we're gonna name what it is before the video ends. Before we continue, this is Legacy of Folktales. We find the old stories and new films. Here's something most people don't pick up, and I didn't realize it till making this video. In the original screenplay of Get Out, an early scene has Chris's dog watching a United Negro College Fund commercial where the line is said,
"A mind is a terrible thing to waste."
This scene in the script happens right after Chris and Rose leave the house to go on their trip.
Do they know I'm black?
No.
Now, in the final film, that scene actually is cut out in that location, and instead we see the dog with Rod.
College fund. A mind is a terrible thing to waste.
Watching TV where that line is said later in the film. A mind is a terrible thing to waste is almost a thesis of the film.
I know, and I want to give you a tour.
I wanted to walk room by room through the house, so I did my best to watch the film and kind of draw a very rough sketch of where I think the layout is of the house. Missy's office is on the main corridor.
Missy's office? She takes appointments in there.
She's a therapist, right?
A psychiatrist, yeah. Yeah, it turns out people up here are just as messed up in the head as they are in the city.
We'll get back to Dean later. The kitchen is where Georgina works, and Walter is out in the shed. It's not really horror film geography, and may not even really be plantation geography. The big house presents civilization, and the underground does the work the civilization doesn't acknowledge. Dean has a basement. That's where his lab is. That's where the coagula procedure happens. And here's what gets missed. It's not just where the spaces are. He's permitted inside the house. Chris can walk the grounds, and there's certain areas he just can't access.
That's the basement. We had to seal it up. Some black mold down there.
Which makes sense. When you're meeting your girlfriend's family for the first time, you shouldn't be expected to get the keys or to be given a grand tour of every area, and this is maybe what the film plays against. Peele has talked about how Guess Who's Coming to Dinner was an entry point for the film. It's a pretty universal situation that you meet your partner's parents for the first time and there's fear and it's awkward and you want to get out of it. So there's a similar anxiety to the setup for Get Out. They're also establishing the areas of permission and where Chris is able to go and where he can't. And they run a very tight permission system.
You know I can't give you the keys, right, babe?
People come up to you and talk to you about your character and actually try to justify.
Say, like, she was hypnotized, right? And I'm like, no, she's just evil. How hard is that to accept? She's bad. We give you so many ways to know that she's bad.
So the question then is, at what point does Chris stop reading This Is a Family and start seeing the system? Because the film's horror escalates in exact proportion to how long it takes him to make that switch. Wait, so before we can get into this next part, let's go all the way back to 1983. Eddie Murphy was in the height of his stardom, and he has a comedy special called Delirious.
Get out. Too bad we can't stay, baby.
Was Get Out an Eddie Murphy reference?
Absolutely. I mean, Eddie Murphy is talking about the difference between how a white family and a black family would react in a haunted house.
And not only was that the source of where the title Get Out comes from, it also speaks to the difference between Chris and Rod. Rod, before he was even there, had a suspicion about the family.
You're mad at you because you never take my advice.
Like what?
Like, don't go to a white girl parent's house.
And he had a lot of crazy ideas.
Chris, you gotta get the fuck up out of there, man. You in some eye-wide situation. Leave,
And Chris, for various reasons, seems to deny that. Now, Part of why that works, I guess, is because it's presented as a joke. Rod is telling these outlandish jokes, but his outlandish jokes end up being accurate when you find out that they're doing some outlandish things.
How you not scared of this, man? Look, they could have made you do all types of stupid shit. Have you fucking barking like a dog, flying around like you're a fucking pigeon, looking ridiculous, okay? Or, I don't know if you know this, white people love making people sex slaves.
Because for Chris to be in the situation, he has to suppress the voice in his head that probably says meeting my girlfriend's parents after 5 months will be awkward. It's an awkward situation.
Look, bruh, all I'm doing is connecting the dots. I'm taking what you presented to me, okay? I'm gonna tell you this. I think that mom is putting everybody in a trance and she fucking the shit out of them.
Thanks, Rod. Bye.
Yeah, just smile all the time. Yeah, there you go.
And a big reason Chris may be slow to see all the clues that are right in front of him is because Rose is reassuring him at every step of the way. Before he leaves, she tells him that everything's gonna be fine.
You should have Missy take care of that for you.
How?
Hypnosis. She developed a method, and I'm telling you, it works like a charm.
The service we provide. I'm good, actually. Thank you, though.
Well, smoker or not, we're thrilled to have you up here for the big get-together.
Wait, holy shit, that's this weekend? So you think she did that because...
Maybe she doesn't like the fact that I'm with you.
So you are so sexy that people are just unplugging your phone?
When he has suspicions about Georgina or Walter, she laughs him off. He doesn't think Lakeith Stanfield had a seizure.
Cousin's epileptic. That wasn't a seizure, right?
My dad's a neurosurgeon, and that's what he said it was. I'm inclined to trust.
That wasn't a seizure.
What was it then?
At every moment she has to tell him, hey, let's get out of here, she continues to bring him deeper and deeper into this process.
Oh, she's just evil. How hard is that to accept?
Where most viewers like myself will point to the police scene where she doesn't allow the police officer to see his ID.
Doesn't make any sense.
Here.
No. That you don't have to give him your ID because
You then can look at the film again and see that, well, no, that was calculated because she didn't want evidence that Chris had been with her. Rose is so committed to the gaslighting that she acts surprised when Chris points out her blind spots. She even takes a moment and compares her family to the police officer who stopped her.
I mean, how are they different than that cop? That's the bummer of it all.
I told you so.
Let's go home. This sucks. This sucks. Let's go home. I'll make something up.
I feel like it's this scene that makes her reversal later so much more powerful.
You know I can't give you the keys, right, babe?
So let me tell you who the Armitage family actually is. Dean Armitage is not your typical horror movie villain. He's more the paternalistic father figure, plantation owner. He is very welcoming. There's hospitality.
So how long has this been going on, this thing?
4 months.
4 months.
The most dangerous thing he does is he makes a future enslaved person feel comfortable. It means you stop worrying. Missy serves as kind of a mistress of the house. On the plantation, the mistress of the house managed the interior. She was also playing her very specific role to keep things in order, using her psychiatric background to hypnotize Chris.
Sink into the floor.
Wait.
Sink.
Rose is the weaponized instigator who recruits and brings people into the fold. It's how the system sources its raw material. Jeremy is the enforcer, and every plantation had one.
Fairer skin has been in favor for the past, couple of hundreds of years. But now the pendulum is swung back. Black is in fashion.
Antebellum slave auctions were social events. Buyers examined the body and asked about temperament. They used the language of livestock management.
Greens. Gordon and Emily, this is Chris. Chris, this is Gordon and Emily Green.
Chris, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Chris. Nice to meet you indeed.
Boy, that's quite a grip. Thank you, you too.
The horror of this scene is not that it's a metaphor for something terrible. The horror is that it's a direct reproduction of a specific American institution. The audience laughs at it or feels uncomfortable. If I remember correctly, I think I just felt more, what's going on? Because they see it as a garden party, not as an auction block. But that's a brilliant part of the film in that it creates distance from something that was actually horrific. The gap between what the audience read and what was on screen is the film doing its job.
You like the fun of doing a horror story, or because you wanted to convey ideas about racism?
It began as the fun of a horror story. The power of story is that it is one of the few ways we can really feel empathy and encourage empathy.
And there's a famous skit from Key and Peele where they tackled the slave auction directly.
Put that whip down and see what happens, though.
Straight up, I don't care what plantation I end up on, I'm straight staging a revolt in this mother.
Hells yeah.
Antebellum architecture was more than just an aesthetic. It also goes back to the way the homes were designed, where the house sat, and how it positioned itself in relation to the quarters that the slaves stayed in. Most of those decisions were based on power. There are a lot of theories about the sunken place, and I don't really want to get too deep into them. I'm more interested in what it describes functionally. It kind of is a consciousness without agency.
So you won't be gone, not completely. A sliver of you will still be in there somewhere. Limited consciousness. You'll be able to see and hear what your body is doing, but your existence will be as a passenger, an audience. You'll live in
the sunken place.
Now you're in the sunken place.
It's a condition that talks about the status of property. Your interiority didn't matter, and what mattered was your labor and compliance. The next time you watch the hypnotherapy scene, notice Chris's eyes. He's fully present. He watches himself fall. He can see the floor and the chair. He can hear Missy's voice. Nothing is blacked out. He's all there, and that's not an accident. It's a precise way to describe the sunken place. Chris's captivity with full awareness. That's the thing that makes it scary.
The human mind. Its potential is as limitless as space itself. And thanks to you, the United Negro College Fund is turning this potential into reality. And our nation, support the United Negro College Fund. A mind is a terrible thing to waste.
I grew up in North Carolina, Winston-Salem to be exact. The South has the highest concentration of historically black colleges in the country, and the United Negro College Fund wasn't an abstract commercial to me growing up. It was something my family talked about, something my community supported. I can remember going to the CIAA basketball tournaments in my childhood before they moved to Charlotte. So when I heard that line in Get Out, it hit different. And it took me a while to actually remember where I had first heard it, but not that long. I found it pretty quickly when I saw the trailer almost a decade ago. That line meant something before I heard it in Get Out. The United Negro College Fund was an opportunity for me to be educated about the history of historically black colleges in the South, the same colleges that educated many people in my family. It is a proud tradition, and one that made me more interested in watching Get Out when I put two and two together, even before I saw the film. It shows up in the trailer.
Terrible thing to waste. Terrible thing to waste. A mind is a terrible thing to waste.
And it shows up in this one place in the movie. And for older millennials like myself, who can remember those commercials from the 80s and the 90s, it says something about how the Armitage family is able to twist this slogan, which initially was about helping African-American students go to college.
America's tomorrow depends upon the education our young people receive today. So support for the United Negro College Fund equals support for our nation. And I urge all Americans to give generously. Thank you.
It was an indictment. Black genius is being squandered by a country that won't invest in it.
I got me a college man. But Mom, we can't afford college. Nonsense. You worked hard to get accepted, so I'll get you on that bus somehow.
The United Negro College Fund has helped thousands of students, but the fact is, the job's not done. There are thousands we can't reach, not without the funds. So support the United Negro College Fund.
A mind is a terrible thing to waste.
The Armitage family didn't disagree with that. They just had a different definition of waste.
I'll control the motor function, so I'll be...
Me. You'll be me.
Good.
It's not a coincidence. While the United Negro College Fund was empowering minds to be fully developed, Peele flips that same usage to see the extraction of minds replaced by other people's consciousness. Jim Hudson's not buying Chris's body. He's buying Chris's eyes.
I want those things you see through.
His artistic vision, the thing Chris has spent his whole life developing. That's what the United Negro College Fund line is doing in that scene. There's a longer version of this conversation on Patreon, but let's keep going. It's the thesis hiding in plain sight. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Because now look at Walter. Walter runs every morning. He runs like a person who used to train as a runner. Now he runs in circles at the Armitage's property. And we later find out that this is Grandpa.
Get him, Grandpa.
My dad's claim to fame was beat by Jesse Owens
And Georgina is Grandma.
Grandma.
Georgina acts normal until she warns Chris. That's a reflex that's been trained. Both these people were taken, and what replaced them is using everything they have. Which means Rod was right from the beginning, and the question the film is actually asking is, why did Chris take so long to believe him? Rod Williams is the only character in the film who never stopped questioning the Armitage. He doesn't have access to the visual information we have. He's working from description alone, and from description, he feels uneasy. Jordan Peele said in an interview he wanted his film to have a smart protagonist, not someone who falls into silly, idiotic plot points. And Chris is smart, and Rod never needed to get out because he would have never gone in.
I mean, I told you not to go in that house.
Too bad we can't stay, baby.
The joke was that black people would have better survival instincts than horror movie protagonists, and Rod is the answer to that. Rod is the one who called it. He's not comic relief. He's the audience surrogate the film trusts. So here's a question I couldn't stop asking myself. If Rod could see it from a phone call, why didn't most of us see it from the 2-hour movie? And I think the answer is 100 years old. In 2017, the reason most people didn't talk about the Armitage house as a plantation is because of how plantations sit in American cinema. They're assumed to be only in the South. And Get Out is distinctly a film that takes place in the North. And that usually doesn't look like horror. White columns, sweeping lawns, and there's Gone with the Wind. Now, Gone with the Wind came out in 1939, and to this day, it's still the highest grossing film in history when adjusted for inflation. That right there does not position the plantation as a crime scene. And the grammar didn't die with that film. It was absorbed into the industry. And in all fairness, it probably wasn't until the 1970s, when Roots came out, would do the work to kind of reposition the plantation. But still, a handful of films does less than a century of Hollywood telling a certain type of story with a certain type of visual. And how this framing from Gone with the Wind in 2017 tells you a lot about how the film would be read and interpreted. Peele said something in an interview I keep coming back to.
Every true horror, human horror, American horror, has a horror movie that deals with it and allows us to face that fear. And except race had, in a modern sense, hadn't been touched. You know, it really hadn't been touched, in my opinion, since Night of the Living Dead 50 years ago.
He wasn't making a film about racism. It was really about the system. And there's a difference. Racism gets read as what people do. They're prejudices. But the system that actually creates those confines doesn't need anyone's intentions because it's structural. It's almost invisible. And to make a Plantation horror film in 2017, you must reveal the invisible. The Armitage family knew what they were doing, the protagonist didn't. We as audience members are with Chris. We don't know what they're doing until it's near the end. And that's the whole film. And that quiet part is the Armitage mansion is a plantation. And it took me a while to even make that connection. What we're talking about is power. In this country, racial lines were one of the boundaries in which power was determined. So the plantation was beyond just an economic system, and Jordan Peele understood this. The spatial relations to the Armitage estate, who can go where, what's above ground and what's below, all support that argument. And on the antebellum plantation, that function could exist as well. It just didn't look like Rose with a Polaroid. Here's a question that I think Get Out answers, usually before people even know what the question is. Before I get to that, do me a quick favor. Go back to 11 minutes in this video. Watch that United Negro College Fund commercial one more time. The Reagan spot, that student spot. Listen to what they're actually promising. Investment, potential, a nation's future. Now remember, that commercial is playing in the movie and in the trailer. Peele didn't just put that line in there once. I still think this is a theme of the film.
Mind is a terrible thing to waste.
While there have been a lot of films that have tried to do what Get Out did, some didn't work critically, some didn't work commercially, and the question is why? Maybe it's not the subject matter. Maybe it's that audiences will watch difficult material, they just need there to be distance. And what those films missed to Get Out got right may come down to three things. The moment the brutality becomes the point, you lose the audience, because horror doesn't work when you already know what the monster is doing. It works on anticipation. Second, the protagonist has to have agency to move beyond just his circumstance, but also overthrow the whole system, not just survive. They must act. Black audiences in particular have been watching films where these Black characters are witness to their own story, and things happen to them. Get Out flips it. Chris is able to drive the escape, and he figures it out. He wins. He gets out. It's more than satisfying. And lastly, the villain has to be just more than a person. The villain is the system that allowed this to happen, and the system lives on. The horror doesn't end. Get Out does one more thing no other plantation horror film has managed. It gets you inside the estate before you know what it is. When the audience walks in reading this as a social thriller, it feels like an awkward weekend with liberal discomfort. By the time the architecture reveals what the film is actually about, you're already inside. That's what makes it disarming. The Armitage estate is fictional. The inspiration is not. I actually visited the Nottoway plantation while researching a horror film I'm developing that takes place on a plantation. I have photos from that trip, and I'll put some on Patreon for folks who want to see what it actually felt like to walk those grounds. I'll be honest, standing there and visiting that and other plantations is when a lot of what I'm telling you in this video stopped being theory for me. Earlier last year, the Nottoway plantation burned down. It was at the time the largest extant antebellum mansion in America, and it had been operating as a resort and a wedding venue. I'm saying that if we're willing to call history, we also must be willing to call the horror that was happening in that building and how it affected those who descended and those who may have been leading that place as well. And I'm asking this genuinely. If you've ever walked into a room and understood the permission system before anyone explained it to you, you already know what this film is doing. Tell me the room and tell me how you know. Leave that in the comments. The Armitage family is gone, but the plantation is still there. The Armitage estate is a functioning plantation. The procedure, hypothetically, still exists. And Peele ends the film before we see what happens to the estate, because the estate isn't the point. And estates don't end with the people who ran them. The horror of Get Out extends beyond the evil of the Armitage. It's also in the design of the house. Here's your moral choice. When Chris drove away at the end, was this plantation destroyed, or did it just lose its staff? But which one haunts you more? Comment below, because I want to know what you think. So, how many times did you count? What I found is there are 3 times, And every single time, Chris thanks someone who is in the process of capturing or evaluating him. He says thank you to the family.
I'm good, actually. Thank you, though.
Well, smoker or not, we're thrilled to have you up here for the big get-together.
He says thank you to a guest at the party before the bidding starts.
It's quite a grip. Thank you, you too.
He also says thank you to Jim Hudson, the man who ultimately buys him.
Powerful stuff, I think.
Thank you.
This becomes a through line where Chris felt comfortable enough to say thank you, unaware of the process he was in. And here's where I have to be honest with you, because I've been sitting with something a little uncomfortable. Get Out has the ending audiences wanted. Chris survives. The family is destroyed. Rod shows up in the TSA car. The audience cheers. But Peele shot another ending, the one where the police show up and Chris goes to jail for a crime he didn't commit. That ending is sadly closer to the reality the film is actually diagnosing. And I worry about something. I worry that the fantastical ending of this new wave of black horror, as satisfying as they are, as much as I love them, could become a new kind of blaxploitation. Not in the same exploitative sense, in the escape sense, where the film hands us a horror so real, then resolves it with the fantasy so clean that we leave the theater feeling like order was restored, when the whole point of the film was that order is the problem. I'm saying this as someone who loves these movies. I'm also saying it as someone who's making a series about plantation horror across 100 years of American cinema. And this is a question that's gonna haunt the whole series. What does it mean when our horror gives us catharsis, a real-life system never will? By the end of Get Out, two things are true at the same time. The Armitage family has been defeated, and the plantation is still there. The procedure still works. Peele ends the film before we see what happens. The horror of Get Out is that the Armitage family had a system that outlived them. Get Out is but one film, a data point inside a pattern I've been tracking across 80 years of American cinema. That's where this series is going. 20 videos, horror films from the silent era to right now, all of them doing what Get Out did, or missing the mark. From Sugar Hill, Ganja and Hess, Tales from the Hood, Candyman, Pigeons from Hell, the films you'd expect and some you wouldn't. If you want to come with me on this, subscribe. We go deeper. We just launched Legacy of Folktales on Patreon. The study guide for this and other videos is up there now, and members get audio edits of upcoming videos 2 to 3 weeks before they drop on the channel. Link is in the description. I'm Neil, this is Legacy of Folktales, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.